Hollywood has always been good at creating ghosts. Some were written into scripts, and some were made by fame itself. Long before Elvis, before James Dean, before Marilyn Monroe, there was Rudolph Valentino, the world's first male movie star, a man so famous women fainted at the sight of him, a man so adored his death sent thousands into the streets, and nearly a century later, people still come looking for him. Today, I'm standing in the hills above Hollywood, near the site of Valentino's final home, a place he built to escape the noise, a place he barely had time to enjoy. Later, I'll visit the crypt where he was laid to rest, and where, for decades, people claimed a woman dressed in black still came to mourn him. This is the story of Rudolph Valentino, the man Hollywood made immortal, and maybe never really let go. Welcome to As Seen by Dave. Before the crowds, before the movie posters, before millions knew his face, he was just Rodolfo, born in southern Italy in 1895, a dreamer. A young man restless enough to leave everything behind and cross an ocean in search of something bigger. America promised possibility, but what it gave him first was struggle. Valentino worked odd jobs. He danced for money. He drifted through New York trying to survive. In those early years, there was no hint that this quiet, elegant immigrant would one day become the most desired man in the world. But maybe that's what made him so magnetic. He always felt slightly out of place, like someone who belonged in a fantasy more than real life. Even before fame, Valentino's life already had shadows. He became tied to scandals, rumors, sensational headlines. At one point, his name surfaced in one of New York's most talked about divorce cases. Later, he was swept into a vice investigation that publicly humiliated him. The newspapers mocked the way he dressed, the way he carried himself, the way women looked at him. Even then, people were trying to define him, trying to cut him down, trying to turn him into something he wasn't, that would become a pattern for the rest of his life. Because Rudolph Valentino was always two things at once, a real man and an idea people projected onto. Then came Hollywood, and suddenly everything changed. In 1921, Valentino appeared in the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. There's a tango scene in that film that still feels electric today. It wasn't just acting, it was presence. You could feel it through the screen, and audiences sure did. Then came the Sheik. That was it. Rudolph Valentino became more than an actor. He became obsession. Women wrote him letters by the thousands. They kept his photographs by their beds. Some reportedly fainted when they met him. He became fantasy made flesh. But fame like that, especially in old Hollywood, always comes with a cost. Because the higher someone rises, the stranger people become about owning them. And that brings us here, Falcon Layer, or at least where Falcon Layer once stood. This was Valentino's dream house, perched high above Benedict Canyon, far from the crowds, far from the gossip, far from the version of himself Hollywood had created. So the Falcon Layer is here, and right across the way is Cielo Drive. If you notice over here is a massive mansion. That's where Sharon Tate's and Roman Polanski's house once stood. Right there. Demolished and rebuilt. Jeff Franklin owns that currently and is trying to sell it. Look at this massive house up here on the hill. So Cielo Drive. And the Falcon Layer right across the way here. But look at the view Rudolph Valentino would have had. You can see the whole city here. Absolutely beautiful. And now we're here, Hollywood forever. For all the noise that once surrounded Rudolph Valentino, it's strange how quiet this feels. The air is cooler in here, the light changes. Your footsteps sound louder than they should. And somewhere inside these walls rests one of the most famous men who ever lived. Valentino was never even meant to stay here permanently. This crypt was offered as a temporary resting place, but temporary became forever. And somehow that feels fitting. For a man whose life felt to spin in between reality and illusion, he spent his life on screen, projecting emotion without ever speaking. And now he rests in silence forever. The woman. Camera near crypt. Low music. Dave voiceover. Dave voiceover. But Valentino's story didn't end here. For decades, people told stories about a mysterious woman in black. Every year of the anniversary of his death, she was said to appear at his crypt. A dark veil, a single red rose, silent, then gone. Some say it started as a publicity stunt. Some say copycats kept it alive. Some say it became something else entirely. Maybe it was grief. Maybe it was performance. Maybe in Hollywood. Those two things were always the same, but somehow the image feels perfect. A silent star, a quiet crypt, a woman dressed in mourning, still showing up, long after everyone else went home. There's some memorabilia here in the windowsill, some pictures. Looks like a book for Rudolph Valentino. Please look, enjoy this book. Please do not remove it from this location. Let everyone enjoy it. We never forget. Some old pictures of Rudolph Valentino. Really cool stuff. Rudolph Valentino only lived 31 years, but some lives don't need decades to become legend. He arrived in America as an outsider. He became the face of desire, of mystery, of old Hollywood glamour, and then, just as suddenly as he appeared, he was gone. But places like this remind you, some people never really leave. Not because they haunt us, but because they change something, a feeling, an era, an idea of what fame could be. Hollywood has always been built on illusion, but every now and then, someone comes along, so magnetic, so unforgettable, that even after they're gone, the city still feels a little haunted. So thank you so much, everyone. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. I'm on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, as seen by Dave. And as always, until next time, as seen by Dave, out.